Hello again. Just a quick intro about what's coming up in this video. Roll cage. That's all I've done. It's been a lot of work. It's finally in now, which I'm really pleased about. I was really looking forward to getting through the rust work on the body shell so I could start the roll cage. I want because it's 2.5 mil steel. It's so much easier to weld than 1 mil steel. So got stuck into it. Yeah, it's just the monotony of doing a roll cage. There's so many cuts and scallops and tubes to measure and fit and bend. So I've tried explaining how I do the notches on the tubes. I haven't explained it very well. It's not easy to explain. If you are going to do a roll cage and you want to notch the tubes without drilling, I know drilling it can make some nice scallops on the tube, but it can take a lot of time, whereas works just as well. And I saw it on a guy called Fab, who makes roll cages for his cars and other people's cars as well. He explains it much better than me. I've tried explaining, but I just get a bit lost in there. Not very good at explaining things. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm glad it's done now, and then we can move on, and won't be long. I've got to get the other sides sorted out. I've got to move it across the garage, get the other arches and everything on. So yeah, this is the roll cage. Yeah, enjoy it. What I've done, I think I talked about this before. I don't want to talk about it too much. I've chopped out the front lateral bar to meet the main hoop. Nothing's welded or fixed yet. This is going to be the rear stay. It's going to go from the wheel arch to roughly here. So what I've been doing is sort of marking out where I need to cut the angle grinder to make it all work. So this is the point that it's going to touch the cage, but what we need to do is we need to have a round on it so it'll cover the tube, not cage, cover the tube. And because it's 44mm tube, we want this bit to be 15mm, well, a third of the tube, which is roughly 15mm further than this point. So what I've done is I've got an angle that will work from here to get to the rear arch, mark the angle, and then added 15mm. Well, I'm going to take more 15mm off the tube. That was where it was going to be before, and now I'm going to take 15mm off it. So once I cut this, hopefully it should be a nice scallop scribe to go around the tube. So I'll just cut these flat with the angle grinder and then clean it up with the sanding disc. So that's why I'm doing it on a small bit. So just to make sure it fits before I cut the bigger piece. So I'll do this as a test piece and try that on. Right, that's it cut. It's just cut square. It's cut with the angle grinder. So now I've got to sort of just scallop it a bit with the sanding pad. I'll give that a go now and then show you what it looks like. Right, I've just given it a bit of a bevel with the grinder with the sanding wheel on it. This is just the sacrificial bit. That's the bit marked, ready to be cut. But it's not worth doing on this one because it does not make a difference, but I will grind these down to flatten them because it's too sharp at that point. You're not going to get enough. You're just going to burn through that with a welder. So you need to get a good couple of mil showing. I'll try it up and see how it looks. Well, I know because I've tried it before. How are we doing? There. So, I'm going to have to fiddle about with it a bit. Well, I'll fiddle about with this one a bit. So I'll cut this and we'll go from there. Right, so it's quite important. The bottom of the front leg is further forward than any other part of the cage. That's one of the regulations. It's nice and tight up here. It's quite high as well, which is good. Yeah, we are going onto that step, but I've still got to put 3mm steel plates on the floor. So this is the backstay. I've got 3mm plates go on the rear arch, but I reckon I can weld that without having to drop the cage. I can get all round there quite easily. So, but I won't be able to weld around the top of this one. Diagonal's not a problem, and door bars, there's plenty of room there to get around the side of it and down the bottom. And it looks like I might get away with a straight run for the windscreen bar. So if I mirror these, what I've made here, and then I can do the other side, it's going to be like tack it all in place, because I think things are going to move and wobble about, so I'll have to tack it and then fully weld it when I'm happy with everything's where it needs to be. Yeah, what I forgot to say was this rear stay has to be a minimum of 30 degrees off the vertical. So this is well in there at 44 degrees. So that's plenty of angle on that. Right, I've just put a couple of tacks on the lateral bars to the main hoop. So hopefully I can pop it forwards, it'll drop down, and that means I know that I've got access to get to the weld it above the top. Then I can fiddle about and do everything else. Right, that's it, drop down, where the feet have gone onto the lower portion of the car now. There's plenty of room there to weld around the windscreen pillar and the laterals into the main hoop. So now I know that, I'm going to weld the plates in. I'm not welding these plates in yet because I can do them once because I want to, it's a lot easier to drop the front down to get it out. I've got to see if I can get it back in again now as well, all in one piece. So if that works, then I can start fiddling about with the windscreen pillar, the windscreen bar. Yeah, it popped back in all right. I've just put a wedged a bit of wood in there just to spread it a little bit more. I need to fiddle about with that leg, move it back a bit, and this was to stop the bottom from squeezing in. So yeah, I think that's a success. I think we'll be able to pull that down and weld it all around. I'm going to do, I might actually cut a bit more of the laterals and move the hoop forwards slightly. But it's probably going to be all right there. I'll get the plates bent. These ones, they go in there. So I've got to bend the front down. I'm going to measure the area of them. I've I've got to get to 120 square centimetres. So I'll measure what they are. If I don't have to do the bend down the front, if I've got enough spread load on there, I'll cut them off. I'll just measure them, working out now. Right, I've bent the plates for the cage to go on. They are, they've got to be 120 and I think they're 138. So I've cleaned up where they're going to need welding onto. I'm just going to give it a coat primer before I weld it. It's weld through primer, and yep, same the other side. I've notched the windscreen bar in now, and it wasn't a straightforward cut because it's wider at the front than it is at the back, so you have to sort of taper it, and it's a bit hard to sort of line it up and see where you're going to tack it. So the idea is I'm going to tack it where it is. I've measured up off the floor, it's the same height, it's same level, it looks the same above the top. Yeah, tack it and then just check I can get the cage forward still. Oh yes, I've made all these bits. That's the other side, that one's slightly different. So they'll all get welded in. But that's not happening just yet. I'm going to get this tacked up in its right place, and then when I've got the cage further forward, I'll clean up the primer to bare metal, and I will have to weld the plate on once the cage is in position. So yeah, I better I'll take some more measurements before I tack it. Right, we've welded above the cage now. We've got the front bars in. I put primer on it as well because it'll be easier to prime it now than when it goes up. I've bare metaled where the cage is going to hit the actual chassis, the car, so I can weld through the primer. I've bare metaled where the plates go on the front feet. It was a right job getting it out, really was a right job getting it out with the bar, the windscreen bar in it. But right, so it should be interesting putting it back in. I've just put a clamp around the bottom just to pull it in a bit, hoping that would help, but no, it was a bit tricky. Here we go. Right, where the rear stays go back onto the wheel arch, there's two curves. It's curving in different ways. So what I've had to do is get the plate and just cut it with the angle grinder and put a slight bend in it. So that way it fits nice. And when I weld it on, I'll weld up the slots as well. Make it continuous again. So I think that's about where it needs to go. And there's one for the other side as well. Yeah, this is just putting in the rear diagonal and the harness bar. I used a laser level just to make sure that the bar was straight. They look terrible when the bars aren't straight, but still it wasn't as easy as marking it. You still have to get the cuts right to get them in the right place. It seems it's been a lot of work, this cage. I think if I'd done a bolt-in, it would have been a lot easier, but there's pros and cons with bolting. They seem to be a lot heavier. They don't fit as tight, and they squeak a lot more. So these are the door bars. I just measured the. I've got two other e30 cages that I could measure. So I was measuring the heights of the door bars off them, and did it the same as them. Because it says in the regulations you've got to keep it as high as you can, but within reason. So I thought where your legs are really, your legs and waist, seemed the best idea. Yeah, that was this was just about to weld up the door bars. Just in case anyone's concerned, I am actually a qualified welder. My welds have been tested, sent away, x-rayed, dyed, all sorts. I know they can look a bit messy, but they're not going to fall off. I know they are strong, they have been tested. And I have done a couple of raw cages. But yeah, this was a lot of work. I was looking forward to starting it, but I'm quite glad it's done now. I can paint the inside of the car. I've just got the sunroof panel to go on next, then I can start painting the inside. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I can make some more videos and get them out a bit quicker now. It's just I didn't want to put a tube in, do a video, put another tube in. It just would have been a bit repetitive. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.